Hello. I just want to give you an overview of chapter 4, which is on banking. Now, I'm going to look at the second objective of chapter 4, and that is how to reconcile the bank statement and the checkbook. So, as might have seen in the chapter, uh, uh, the goal here is to look at the bank statement and the checkbook balance. And the truth is, anytime you get to the end of the month and you receive a bank statement from your bank and you compare the balance in the bank statement or what you have in the bank at the end of the month, and if you compare this number to what you have in your checkbook, the truth is there's always a difference between the two numbers. And so, in other words, those two numbers are not the same. And the reason why the two numbers are not the same is because of differences, either resulting from timing differences, or it could be because of errors, either on the bank side or on the checkbook side. So, by differences, what I mean is there's some transactions that probably didn't maybe reach the bank, but you have already considered them in your checkbook. For example, deposit in transit. And there could be some transactions that you have recorded in your checkbook, but they haven't, of course, been recorded in your bank statement. And those, for example, could be maybe some of the outstanding checks. So because of those differences, what we try to do is to try to figure out, what is causing the checkbook and the bank account not to be the same. So what I always say all the time here is you don't have to memorize nothing. What you just need to do is to think about it and see where the difference is coming from. So in our text, the book gives us a list of 5 steps for us to think about it to make the process more simple in terms of the bank reconciliation. So in step 1, for example, we need to identify the outstanding checks. Again, think about it. These are the checks probably you paid suppliers. And for some reason, by the time the bank is giving you a bank statement, the bank did not receive or did not take care of those checks, so those will become outstanding. We also need to look at the identify the deposit in transit. Again, this could be maybe towards the end of the month, maybe on the 29th or the 30th, you went to the bank and you dropped maybe a deposit. And when you drop the deposit, by the time the bank is giving you a bank statement on the 30th or the 31st, it could be they had not received or accounted or included the deposit in your bank balance. So in that case, it is basically an outstanding deposit. Then we need to analyze the bank statement for transactions not recorded in the check stub or check register, and then check for any errors. It could be errors again in the bank statement. It could be errors in the on checking account, the checkbook account, or could be additional errors or subtraction errors. So it could be some mathematical errors. So we need to look at that. And then once you have figured out all this, then we need to compare our adjusted bank balance and our adjusted checkbook balance. So if the two balances are the same or the equal, then of course we say we have reconciled the two accounts. But if the numbers are not the same, then we have to go back and repeat our step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. So in summary, again, without memorizing everything. In summaries, once you've identified that, we can sum up those 4 steps here. So you look at the bank balance at the beginning and the checkbook balance, and then so what is going to affect the bank balance, of course, is going to be those deposit in transit. So you're going to add the deposit in transit to your bank balance, and you're going to subtract the outstanding checks, because remember, the outstanding checks are checks that you have paid the suppliers from your own checkbook account. This is your own recording. You wrote checks to suppliers or to customers, whatever it is, to pay out this money from your from your bank balance. But the bank has not received these checks. So in other words, when the bank receives these checks, they should be able to reduce the amount of money you have in your account. So that's why we subtract the outstanding checks. And then if there's any errors, again, depending on the nature of the errors, either will lead to the increase in bank balance or reduction to the bank balance. Then on the checkbook balance, what we need to consider is if there's any EFT, we need to increase it. That's electronic funds transfer. They should increase our checkbook balance. If you earn an interest, again, remember the interest shows up on your bank balance, and therefore we have to include this in our checkbook. Notes collected, add this to our checkbook balance. Our credit memo, add it to your checkbook balance. Direct deposit, and if you made any ATM withdrawals while using your ATM card, that should reduce your checkbook balance, because remember those ATM withdrawals, they were automatically taken care of in your bank balance or bank account. If you made any automatic withdrawals, any debit memo, those should also reduce your checkbook. If you had any non-sufficient fund check, online fees, automatic payments, those should reduce again the checkbook. And if there's any errors, again, they should be adjusted again accordingly. If there's any service fee, of course, the bank charged you for the service fee. So on the bank side, it shows the service fee. On the book side, it doesn't show. Then we have to take out the service fee there. If there's any overdraft, again, will be the same thing. That amount needs to be subtracted from the checkbook. So in summary, what I will tell you is, again, do not memorize nothing in this chapter. What you need to do is just to think about what is happening. How does this transaction affect the bank side? How does this transaction affect the the checkbook side? And all along, you'll have no trouble in reconciling both the two accounts. Remember, the goal at the end of the day is your checkbook should balance with the should be the same amount with bank statement or the bank account. So that's what we go about in trying to reconcile the two accounts, and hopefully uh, you have no trouble in